something in the chat. Oh, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure to do this. All right, good morning, everyone. April 12th, it's the Rosh Chodesh, the 30th day of Nisan. So we're going to continue today with the Chumash. Today's Chumash continues with the tzaras, the different types of tzaras. And by the end of this, whether you're a Kohen or not, you're going to be professional at identifying the tzaras. So let's get right to it. We're in the middle of chapter.
That's all right. I'll leave it to the coin.
All right, chapter 13. We don't have Chuni on to help us make sure we get this right. All right. Oy basar, this is another example. We talked about first when it just has white, and then when it has like an inflammation with heat. But that was not a fire burn. That was from a wound type of inflammation. Now we're going to talk about fire. So if a person's flesh has a fire burn on its skin, a basar michvas eish. Michvas eish is a fire burn. V'haisa michyas hamichva baheres levaina adam demes oy levaina. And on the healed area of the burn, there's either like a mixture reddish whitish or completely white. This is the scenario. And then Rashi just explains, again, similar, the signs of burns and the signs of inflammation. And Rashi says, why does it say those two things separately, the burns and inflammation? They seem very similar, and they both have reddish, whitish, and white. So why not just say them all together, burns and inflammations? And Rashi explains that actually the reason why they're separate is because there's a certain minimum amount, the size of a half a gris is the amount that if it's smaller than that, I'm sorry, the area of a gris, a full gris, that's the amount, the area of a bean. That is the minimum surface area in order for it to be tzaras. But what happens if it's a half a gris, a half a bean of fire burn and a half a bean size of inflammation? That those two do not combine. That's what Rashi says. That's why the Chumash, that's why the Torah says it in two separate parts, because they don't combine. They're two separate things. If you have tzaras on a fire burn and tzaras on a inflammation, they're two separate things. Okay, verse number 25. V'ra'isa kayin mihine nepach sa'ar lavan b'baheres umara amuk min ha'ar tzarasi. The kayin shall look at it, and if the hair has turned white in the baheres, right, in this lesion, and also its appearance is deeper than the skin, it's tzaras. V'timehu oisa kayin, and the kayin shall pronounce him unclean. Nega tzarasi, it is a lesion of tzaras. However, v'im yir'ena kayin v'hine ein bebaheres sar lavan, if the kayin looks and there is no white here, ushva la einena min ha'ar, and it's not lower than the skin, and it's dim, v'hicheya, it's dim, it's not a dark, doesn't have a dark complexion, v'izgiria kayin shivas yamim, then the kayin shall put him into quarantine for 7 days. V'roa kayin b'yem hashvi, on the 7th day the kayin shall look, im pasoi tifse be'er v'timei kayin oisei nega tzarasi, if it spreads, then the kayin shall say he's unclean, and it is a tzaras. V'im tachta, excuse me, v'im tachta tamid habeheres loy pasha ba'ar, but if the beheres remains in this place and did not get much bigger, v'hikreya, and it is again, it's light, it became lighter. Se'es hamichvahi, it's a seis of burn. V'tihira, and the kayin shall pronounce him clean. V'tihira hakayin, and the kayin shall pronounce him clean. Kitzareves hamichvahi, because it's just scar tissue of the burn, but it's not actually tzaras. Now, here starts a new thing. What happens if this whole story of the tzaras is on a place on the head or the beard area, a place where there's a lot of hair, so you can't really see the flesh. You can't know if it's deeper, if what color it is. It's harder to see when it's on the beard or flesh. Rashi just says, yeah, we're explaining the difference. There's laws different if it's a place that generally grows hair versus a place that doesn't grow hair, like your hand, which doesn't have a lot of hair, or your legs or something like that, where it's easily to see the skin, is different than a place like the top of your head, which you can't see under it generally. So let's see what happens. So verse number 30. V'ra kohen es hanega v'hine mar'eu omuk min ha'ar u'bois se'er tzohov dak. So now the kohen's going to look, and if it has thin golden yellow here, then you're tummy, because that's called the netek. Hutzaras harosh oyazakinhu. That on the head or on the beard, it comes in that form of golden yellow. Yeah. Verse 31. When the kohen looks at the nega, nega hanetek. V'hine ein mar'ehu amok min ha'ar. V'se'er shachar, it's not deeper and it's black hair. Ein by v'se'er shachar ein by v'hisker hakohen es hanega hanetek shiva yom. There's no black hair in it. Sorry. If the kohen looks at it and behold, it's not deeper than the skin, and there's no black hair in it, then the kohen shall wait 7 days. Rashi just explains, if there's black hair in it, which is just normal hair, is what they're saying, then there's nothing to worry about. Then he's clean. But if it doesn't have black hair, then but it's not golden yellowish, then you have to just wait the 7 days. Lamed Beis, on the 7th day the kohen shall look. In the scenario where the netek did not spread, remember these are all different types of words of possible tzaras. The netek did not spread, and there's no golden yellow hair, and it's not deeper than the skin. Then what do? His galach, you shave all around where the adjacent to the netek. So you shave all around, but you leave just where the netek is. Why are you doing this? You're doing this so that to see if it's going to spread more on the skin. The only way to see that, you don't want to shave the actual netek, because then you're not going to be able to see what type of hair it has. So, like Rashi says over here, he shall not shave. You have to be careful. You can shave around, but you should not shave. He shall shave 2 hairs close to all around, in order that any spread of the netek will be discernible, so that if it spreads, it will pass the hairs and go out of the shaven area. So this is the 2nd week. The kohen will look at the netek. If he sees that it did not spread outside of, now that he shaved, he's able to clearly see if the netek spread. He sees it did not spread ba'ar in the skin. And it's not deeper min ha'ar. The kohen shall pronounce him clean. He shall immerse his clothing and become clean. But if the netek does spread ba'ar on the skin, after he has been declared already clean, if the kohen looked at it and behold, the netek did spread on the skin, you don't even have to look to see if there's going to be golden yellow hairs, because he's already unclean if it continued. So that's the point of shaving the hair all around the potential tzaras location. So like this, you can see if if the tsaras spreads, probably not very fun. This whole getting tsaras, getting tsaras on your head or on your or your beard or somewhere that you can't see it sounds even more of a challenge due to the fact that you have to shave around it in order to see how it's going or what's happening with it. Okay, number 37. Here's what happens. The im of omak hanetek, the se'ar shachar tzamach boy, nirpa hanetek tar hu v'tiaru akayin. If the netek stays exactly the same, or black here is growing now, then we know that the netek is not a tsaras, he's clean, and the kohen shall pronounce him clean. If a man or woman has spots on the skin of their flesh, white spots, we're going to a new thing now. Now we're going to not anymore a burn, not anymore. First part was the burn. The second part was under beard and head. But what happens if just you have whites, a man or woman has spots? The kohen shall look, and behold, there are dim white spots on the skin of the flesh. But baharis kehait levanis bahak hu parach ba'ar taru. That is called just a bahak, a pigmentation, which is spread on the skin, and he is clean. This is because the white spots, Rashi explains, is not extremely white, but more dim. There are dim white spots, and therefore, the kohen will say that it is tahar. I can just imagine school for kohanim. This was like this is some serious learning to become a professional in identifying tsaras. All right, tsaras will continue tomorrow. Let's go to the Tanya of today. Okay, we're continuing in Tanya. We're in chapter 43, Mem Gimel. Yesterday we talked about the two types of yira, right? We had yira tata and yira ilah, and in yira tata, in the lower level of yira, we had two levels in that as well. And we talked about how in yira, that if you don't have the lower level of yira, you can't get to the higher. Sorry, you can't get to chachma, and in order to get to the higher level of yira, you need to have chachma. So you got to go to the lower level of yira to get chachma, and then once you have chachma, you can work to get the higher level of yira. And now we're going to talk about two levels in ahava, two levels in love of Hashem. There's fear of Hashem and there's love of Hashem. So the two levels of ahava, unlike yira where it's simple, like ava tata and ava ilah, yira tata and yira ilah, a lower level of fear and a higher level of fear. Over here, the words are ava rabba and ava olam. Ava rabba is like a great love, and ava olam is a love of the world, possibly. And we're going to talk about these two levels. In Ava, there's also two madregas. Ava Rabba va'ava olam. Ava Rabba hi Ava b'tainugim. Ava Rabba, love, delight. It's a love of God which completely is like a tainug. It completely delights the person. There's no other desire that the person has. V'hi shal heves ha'olam me'aleha. We're going to talk about this is a fiery flame that rises of itself. You can't actually get to this ava, like we're going to say right now, about uba milamayla b'mechinas matana. This ava rabba is such a high level of ava that you can't actually get to this ava on your own. You can't actually kindle this ava within yourself. It's not possible. This ava only comes through a manifestation of godliness into you. This comes to those who are completed the steps of Yira. Once you get to the higher level of Yira, which that you're able to come to on your own, then you might be gifted by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by God, you might be gifted this higher level of Ava. Interestingly enough, last time we started with the lower level of Yira and then the higher level of Yira. Now we're starting off with the higher level of Ava first, and then the lower level of Ava. But okay. So, as it is known that what the rabbi said, Darkei shel ish lachzar achar isha. Oh, this looks like it's from left field, but we're gonna get into it. The Gemara explains, just in general, the nature of male and female. That this is a contemporary question as well. Who needs to ask out? The man has to ask out the woman, or the woman ask out the man. Who has to call after the date? So the Gemara explains, Darkei shel ish lachzar achar isha. It's the nature that man should pursue the woman. Why? In Kabbalistic terms, Ava nikras ish v'zachar. Ava comes from comes from the masculine side, while Yira actually comes from the feminine side. So, Kamesha Kasav Zachar Chasdei. Actually, it's a little bit of a change over here, because it says the pasuk Zachar Chasdei. It's literally translated, he remembered his kindness, or his lovingness, sorry, or kindness, either way. So Zachar, you can also translate as if you change the nakuda, it becomes Zachar as in male. Male, kindness. The Isha Yiras Hashem Kanaida, and a woman symbolizes fear of Hashem. Okay, so now why are we even talking about this? What male and female, one is kindness. That doesn't mean that a man doesn't have fear, and a woman doesn't have love. That's not at all. It just means that its energy comes from those nikudim, from those sources. So, beli kedimas hayira, I efshar lagia la'ava rabba, ki ava zu hi b'chinas atzilus. So, without the prerequisite of fear, first you have the isha, and then you have the ava, you have the ish that pursues that. So, you need to have first a level of yira in order to afterwards try to, well, you can't get to it. You have to have this yira first before Hashem can gift somebody this higher level of Ava. And you can't you can't you can't get to this Ava Rabba because it comes from Atzilus. The less Tamon Kitsus Uperes Chasu Shalom, over there in Atzilus, there's no separation or separateness of God. In the world of Atzilus, nothing is even concealed, nothing is separated from godliness. So, Ava Rabba Hiaba Me'atvuna V'Hadas B'Gdulas Hashem Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Sorry, Ava Olam, I'm sorry. Ava Olam, however, Ava Olam, the lower level of Ava, that actually you can work on your own to get it. How do you do that? You have to be mizbainen, you have to contemplate and meditate in the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hamamale kol almin, the slave of kol almin. He fills all worlds, and he also encompasses both in a macro way and in a macro and micro way, both detailed and in a seviv kolamin, in a more general way. V'kula kamei kla mamish chashiv, and before Hashem, nothing is chashiv, nothing is worthy. Ukebitul dibur echad, like we've talked about this a couple of times. Ukebitul dibur echad ben nefesh hamaskelas ubeoidim b'machshavtoi b'chemdas halev kaniskar la'el. Just like a person speaks that, how many words in a day or in a month or in a year, right? So what's one word? It's like almost nothing, right? And with one word, with 10 words, Hashem created the whole world. And what's a word compared to our machshava, right? Our word is even less than a machshava, like there's even more machshavas. So you can, when you think about how great and how powerful and how all-encompassing Hashem is, this can bring to Avas Olam, to the love, the lower level of Ava. Asher al Yedei Hisbonenus Zu, through this contemplation, through this meditation, Memela Tispashet Midas Ava Shabenefesh Beluvusheha. For sure, like as a chain of events, the next thing that will happen, the Ava will mispashet, will spread out from your nefesh, from your soul to its garments. In other words, to your physical body, to your physical love. If you actually have a love, a strong enough love of Hashem, and you realize how great Hashem is, and how then the tainug, the appreciation and the desire for worldly things will cease. Not completely, but will not be as much, not as strong, because your love for Hashem will be the strength. Give me 1 second. For they are all nullified, they're completely batal b'metzias, kamei chashive, in front of Hashem. And to Hashem, there's no difference at all between the different types of gashmias. They're all completely nullified to Hashem. Just like there's no comparison between that which is not and that which is here. Something that's nothing, something which is completely not nothing and everlasting life, right? Just like those two things have no comparison to each other, so too HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Gashmis of this world also have no comparison at all. Whom have I in heaven, and there is nothing upon the earth that I desire with you. Kala she'eri ulevavi tzur levavi. My flesh and my heart yearn for you, my rock of my heart. V'gam mi she'ein midas ava shabenavshay. Oh, v'gam mi she'ein midas ava shabenavshay melubeshes klal. Oh, what the Alter Rebbe goes now to say is, when somebody has tainuk, when somebody has pleasure, has desire for gashmias, for materialistic things, right? At least he has a desire for something. Okay, that desire can then translate to a desire for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for God. But what happens when somebody doesn't have desire? He's apathy. which is even harder to deal with than somebody who at least has a desire for physicality, for gashmias, right? Because if you have that if you have that desire and pleasure, then at least it can be channeled. But what happens if somebody is not vested at all? It has no love for anything, both physical or spiritual enjoyment. What do we do with this? He doesn't have the shumtain of gashmi ruchni. Even this person, he is able to kindle it like a burning coal. And create an intense fire and flame that soars heavenward. Through contemplation of the above mentioned matters, and as we shall explain further. Thank you so much for joining today's Tanya and today's Chumash. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
And thank you.
My pleasure.